or Trak mat, masking, and how to do parenting in After Effects. So the first thing you want to do is go over to your project folder and create a new composition. Let's go ahead and call that one mask for text. You can keep all the settings the same. I'm going to create the background the same as well. And then what I'm going to do is actually go up and grab my rectangle tool. So if you hit Q on your keyboard, it'll take you there, and you want to just make a background. So something that maybe fits for your color scheme you might be working with, and just drag it over so it covers the entire area. So you could do this in a lot of different ways. You could have just made the background. We're doing it like this so that we can eventually maybe keyframe this background out so that it transitions and we can nest some stuff together. So I'm going to call this layer. I'm going to click on it, hit return. I'm just going to call it BG. Now I'm going to go to my text, and I'm just going to go ahead and type my name. And a couple other things I want to do. I'm going to go up to layer, transform, and center anchor point in layer content. I might even go over to align and center this thing in the composition. So I'm actually going to keep it a little bit higher, up or lower, because what I'm going to do is create a little animation where a mask reveals this, and this thing will kind of move around. So we don't want it to necessarily be centered. Next thing I'm going to do is create, and I want to hit Command-Shift-A to deselect off my layer so I don't create any masks accidentally on this. I'm going to go up to my pen tool, which is right here, G, and I'm just going to create a line. So I'm going to go across here and hold down Shift so it stays straight. I'm going to turn off the fill for that by option clicking on the fill area and option clicking on stroke. And you can adjust your stroke weight and color as need be. I'm going to keep it fairly consistent with my text weight. And go ahead and click off or Command-Shift-A. I would go ahead and call this layer line. And then the next thing I'm going to do, what we're going to do here, I'll kind of go back into my other example. Let's see. What this is potentially going to look like. What's going to happen is we're going to animate this line to reveal our text. So you can kind of see how this moves up, and then I can actually have that rotate and wipe out the text at some point. So going back in here, let's see. What I want to do next is I want to create a box, and I'm going to line this box up. I believe we're going to go with the bottom of this line. So I'm going to turn off my stroke, turn on my fill, and I'm going to choose a really kind of crazy color that's just different so I can see where this is at. And you can see that my box is not quite lined up with that line, so I'm going to go ahead and just inch that down to line up perfectly there. Right. I'm going to try keeping it on this side. You may have to lower it down. We'll see what that looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and this is just going to be mask. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to kind of rearrange things a little bit. I want that mask to be on top. I want my text then to be below that. The reason being is we're going to use this track mat. What this is going to do is kind of make this visible only when that box right there is as big as, which we've set to be as big as the text. It's only going to be visible when it's in that area. So what we're going to say is we want that to track mat to alpha mat mask. Okay, you can see everything's going to disappear now. But then what we're going to do is we're going to link this mask to the line. So anytime that line moves, that box is going to move with it and potentially reveal stuff. So we're going to go ahead, and this pick whip over here, you can also do a drop down, but I'm going to do the pick whip, and I'm going to go down and line that up with my line. Okay, so you're not going to see any change right away. We're going to go ahead and click on line, and I'm going to go to P, just hit P on my keyboard for position, and what I'm going to do is just mess with my Y. And what you should see is when that line moves, it exposes the text. Okay, so that we could keyframe. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my stopwatch on. Say at 0, I want that line to be there, or even maybe have it higher up. And then maybe by like 2 seconds in, we want that to have dropped down all the way underneath the text. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Boom, maybe that's a little bit too slow. So I'm going to go in here, zoom in on my layer, and oops, let's slide this over. Okay, now this is a little trick here that I do where what I'll do is I actually want that to end there, but before I want that thing to have gone a little bit further than what that point was. So I'm going to go to my line. I'm going to drop that down just a little bit further than it was so it kind of snaps back. So let's see what that looks like. So play, Boom, it'll come back up. Then I'm going to drag over my keyframes. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to keyframe assistant and I'm going to do my easy ease. And let's see what that looks like. Boom. Looks pretty good. Okay, we could also, if we wanted to mess with maybe speed on these, I could go to control, keyframe, velocity, and I want to say my outgoing velocity will go to 60, and that might just give it a little bit more pop to it. Okay. From there, let's go ahead, and we're just going to mess with one more thing. So we actually have this working, and it's looking good. From there, though, what I want to do is also have this thing rotate and wipe this back out. So I'm going to go ahead to my line. I'm going to hit R for rotation. And now at that point where it kind of ends, I'm going to create a stopwatch. So where that line stopped moving. And I'm going to say at this point, look like this. And then at this point, maybe slightly ahead, I'm going to go ahead and rotate that thing all the way back around so that it wipes out my text again. If I hold, let's see, if I hold on shift, will it get perfect? No, I might have to just line it up. All right, that looks good. So let's go ahead and play it. Drops down and then wipes it out. Now I might want a little bit of a pause there. That happened a little bit quick. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag select my keyframes and move them over a little bit. Reveals and then wipes it out. And maybe then I could also have this thing go back to P for position and create a keyframe here. Actually, move that forward just a little bit. I'm going to create a keyframe right there and then move it just an inch ahead. And then I'm going to drop that off so that line also disappears. So let's see this whole thing in play. And then we're good to go. So now this could actually be brought into my master scene. So this is mask for text. It's going to cover up everything right now. So when would I use this? Maybe at the very end or something. Okay. And I could even have this thing fade in. So if I wanted to click on this layer, oops. If I want to create a transparency effect, so I would hit T on that layer. I'm going to go to my opacity. I'm going to say at the beginning be 0. And then fairly quickly get up to 100. Let's see what this whole thing looks like now. So here's all my animated parts. All right, everything's moving. That parenting thing you saw with that B that moved across as well with the circle, and then that's it.